Hello, hello, hello. Cassandra Terry. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. We are starting a little bit later than usual, but we are here and we hope you find your way to us. We are excited to get another week started on this Transformation Tuesday. Last week we focused on transitions. Transitions was the theme for the week. So, although we had our traditional Transformation Tuesday, Wake Up Wednesday, so on and so forth, we did it from the perspective of transitions, moving through the many phases of life that we move through and moving through them well, moving through them with our mental intact, with our mindset right, with our physical well-being as strong as possible, because we're not being drugged through those transitions, we're not resisting those transitions, we're meeting the changes head on and finding the possibilities of the newness of what that transition could bring. So that was last week's focus. This week we move from transition to mastery. What do we mean by mastery? When we talk about mastery, we realize that when you transition, when things change, you end up in a new phase, a new place. Something is not the way it was before. And so you have to settle into that. First, we go through all of our emotions, all of the things that come along with change. And we spent a lot of time last week talking about how to manage that. But once you get there, the transition has happened. The job has changed. The marriage has happened. The marriage has ended. The new house, the new children, what the children graduating and moving out, whatever change is going on in your life, after you get through the actual process of that change, you end up in a different space. And we want to become masters of that space. We want to master our lives in no matter what phase of it we're in, right? So how do we do that? What do we mean by mastery? Mastery means you're aware of where you are. You understand the requirements of what this new place or space brings you, and you know that you have the skills, you have the mental fortitude, you have what you need to not just survive in that space, but to thrive. You have what you need to do well with the new place, the new space, the newness of your life after you've come through a transition. So, as we talk about Transformation Tuesday today, we're going to do it from the perspective of mastery. I do have a quote for you guys today specific to mastery. And since we're starting a little late, we're going to jump right in with the quote. And I see quite a few comments. We will take a look at those first. Let's see who's with us already. Conchita says, terrific Tuesday to everyone. Totally excited about another amazing day. Me too. And when I tell you the last 2 days, amazing is a good word, because I could say it's been busy. It's been overwhelming. It's been a lot to get done. I've been pushed and pulled in many different directions. Or I could say it's been amazing. I've had the opportunity just in these last 30 minutes to be with two separate audiences accomplishing two different things. And although it's not smooth, I didn't start at the time that I typically do. We are here. We're going to do what today has for us to do. We're going to be better for it. And we're going to spend this time together. And we're going to talk about mastery. So it all depends on your mindset. I could be really anxious right now. I could be frustrated right now. I don't like not being on time. It's something that really gets at me. So I have to decide, where am I going to focus my energy? How am I going to manage today? There was something that was absolutely out of my control that I absolutely had to do, and it overlapped with the beginning of this call. My intention was to only do half of that, do the first 15 minutes of it, and then jump over to this. But as I'm going through it, the part that affects me, where they needed my input the most, was saved to the end. So they didn't even really start talking to me in earnest until the time this call was supposed to begin. And so I'm pushing a little bit, and I'm reminding them that I have somewhere to be. and doing it gently and respectfully, but letting them know I can't hang for too long. But I was in complete control of my emotions. Although the angst wanted to rise, the frustration wanted to take over, the overwhelm wanted to pay me a visit, I'm in control of whether or not I allow that to happen. Why? Because I work at mastering my mindset. Mastery is huge, guys. It keeps you in control to the best of your ability of what's going on around you. I couldn't control that other meeting. I couldn't control my manager needing my input because he has a very short window himself to get something done. I needed to support what was going on. It's literally what I'm paid to do. So, in the grand scheme of things, I needed to do what I needed to do. My heart, my real focus, where my desire was at 7:15 was to push this button and to spend time with you guys. But if I let that overwhelm me in that moment, I wouldn't have been able to do what I was required to do there. And look at where we are. We're here. You guys are here. The comments are rolling in. The intro song has played. Brian and I are here, and life moves on. I could have made it a terrible moment, a terrible morning. I could have let it drag me down. But I knew that even if I didn't have the people who are usually here, some of you guys would have caught it on replay. It would have been okay. So that's the first thing you tell yourself in these transitions, in these difficult moments. If you have mastered, or if you're in the process of mastering your emotions, mastering your mindset, you begin to talk to those feelings. Everything's okay. Things may not be as I would like them to be, but they're still okay. I'm going to make the best out of this moment. I'm going to show up well for the 7 a.m. I'm going to get to this as quickly as I can. And I'm going to show up bright eyed and bushy tailed and pink lipped for that because it's what I'm excited about. I could have missed the excitement. I could have not allowed myself to show up with energy because of frustration, right? Choices, guys. We have those choices. And that's why we talk about the things that we talk about to highlight for us exactly how much choice we have and how we allow things to affect us. There are some things that take a lot of work. Kelly, bless your heart. I see your comment and congratulations. Kelly says, I went outside for Father's Day. I realized that it was difficult for me to walk on grass. So I'm not sure physically exactly all that Kelly has been through, but she's been through some stuff and continues to show up here, positive and stretching and mastering this phase of life. I may not be able to do everything the way I did it before, but choice by choice, one decision at a time, one proverbial step at a time, I'm getting back my self agency. I'm getting back my physical control. I'm getting back my mental fortitude because I have decided to do so. I am not going to be beaten by circumstance. I'm not going to give in to the can'ts. I'm going to stack the cans one on top of the other. I can do this. I can do that. I will do the next thing. I will do then the next. And before you know it, you have so much more of your life back than if you just give in to the circumstances. Kelly says, yes, ma'am. I had a stroke. I have left side weakness. Right. I remember you saying last week, mentioning about your stroke. And God bless you that you are continuing to heal, that you are continuing to get stronger, and that you are in your mind already restored and beyond where you were before. See yourself strong, see yourself stepping, see yourself running, see yourself doing the things that you desire to do, and then give yourself the grace and the space for your body to catch up with that vision. And it will, because of your will and your willpower and your willingness to master your life in this current place, right? You're a prime example, and I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your transparency. I'm grateful that you consistently show up and you share your story. Last week, Kelly was talking about how difficult it is to go outside. and that there's some fear there. And we talked about not just being outside in a crowd of people and throwing herself in, but just go outside on your porch, real close to the door for just a moment, just to feel the sun, just to feel the wind, just to get that sensation again. And when you're too uncomfortable, go right back in. But now you've changed the reality of what you're capable of. Now you know that you can at least get outside. And then the next time, maybe you take a couple of steps more. And then you go back in and you congratulate yourself and you celebrate the fact that you're progressing. You don't bemoan the fact that you can't do everything that you did before. You celebrate the fact that you're on that journey and move towards what you were able to do before. We're celebrating with you, Kelly. We are praying for you. We are sending you love and light. And we are so excited that you're taking us on this journey with you as you set an example for all of us of what's possible. So, prayers to you and thank you for showing up again. I see Alicia, that's my sister. Hello, sister. Who else did I miss? Conchita says this week's theme, mastery. It's an excellent follow-up to transition. Thank you. Kim says we feel the love. That's right. Shut it down. Tammy Snyder Mason. Good morning, my dear friend. We love you. I love you guys too. Give Greg a big old hug for me. Those are hometown people. Kelly, I think I got. Oh, Kelly says I had a dream that I was running. All of our successes began in our subconscious. They begin with a desire, they begin with a dream, they begin with us believing in what's possible. And then the more we lean into that dream, the more we take the steps necessary to get there, the more those dreams become our reality. So keep dreaming, Kelly. Keep dreaming and believe the dreams more than you believe in any limitation. Conchita says, Cassandra, I agree. That's why I daily choose the term amazing. We have no control over certain events of the day, but the day itself is still great because it's a divine gift in which we are to rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. I am here for all of that. I agree wholeheartedly. We were talking on the show yesterday with Eric and Friends, Motivation Monday, and somebody asked a question about dealing with overwhelm. And one of the things that we talked about was not even using that word. When you are saying to yourself, speaking overwhelm over your life, you're already giving in to those emotions. So be careful in the words that you choose. She says she on purpose chooses amazing because that's the kind of day she intends to have. When you choose a word like overwhelm, you are giving yourself very little control. You are at the mercy of whatever circumstances are going on in your life. So if we don't learn anything else in our time together, I want us to learn to have agency over our tongues, have agency over our thoughts. We can't control the fact that a thought pops into our head, but we can control how much energy we put into it. We can control if we let that thought take root and begin to control our narrative, control our experiences today. Do not be a victim of your thoughts. Be a victor over whatever is happening in your life. And trust me, pink lips and all, y'all, we all are going through something. We have stuff that reaches for us, that's trying to grab us, that's trying to hold us down all the time, but with mastery, with a decision to take hold of your emotions, take hold of your responses. I don't want to be a reactor. I want to be a responder because when I react, I am not in control. My emotions are driving and I'm just lashing out. But when I respond, I've allowed my brain and my heart and my desire to all work together so that the best of me shows up and manages that situation. So be a responder, not a reactor, right? When you're reacting, you're being controlled by the circumstances. Hey, Tiffany girl, there's another sister of mine. That's the baby girl. She says mastering me. Exactly. The most important subject for you to learn. I know we went to school for at least 12 years to master some basic education. Many of us went on to college after that, or trade school, or went into the workforce to master skills that we needed to earn our paycheck. But all of that, it fails in comparison to you mastering you. The most important subject of your life, for you to know intimately, for you to know how it ticks, for you to know what it needs, to you to know how it responds. What are my triggers? What's going to send me off into the ethers if it happens? Know thyself. That's the mastery that's the most important, because when you master that, whatever is coming your way, you're able to stand and face it head on and deal with it and still have you, your core values, your smile, your joy, whatever it is that's important to you, you can have that still intact as the storm rages. But it begins with mastery, mastering you. Our quote for today is: mastery is not a question of genetics, but of process. What does that mean? It means that I'm not born in it. I'm not born a master. I can't even hold my head up. I can't eat solid food. I don't know how to move on my own. I can't do anything out of my genetics. I get here helpless. I leave here helpless. As the days go in between, I start to master some of those physical things. I start to figure out the letters of the alphabet. I start to learn some stuff. But all those things that I learned, it was a process. They didn't just happen. If no one ever let me out of the bed, I would not learn to walk. If no one ever talked to me and I never heard a human voice, I wouldn't learn to talk, right? Those things don't just happen because of the mere fact that I was born. There's a process. People talked to me, they sang to me, they read nursery rhymes, they helped me learn my ABCs, they put me on the floor and caught me when I fell. Sometimes after I got a little bit stronger, they couldn't catch me because I got away from them. So mastery is a process. And just like the baby masters the skills that it takes to move through this earth, to communicate, to take care of itself as it grows up, your internal self is no different. There's a process. There's a talking to yourself. There's a decision to be made. Who am I and how do I want to show up in this world? You have to be very clear about that. And once you have that clarity, you measure everything that you do against that version of yourself. Hold that person in high regard. That person matters. That's who I am at my core. And I can't let the world, I can't let circumstances, I can't let trauma, I can't let other people's stuff, I cannot let anything strip me of who I am intended to be and who I'm determined to be. So I have to go through process of elimination, that pruning period, getting rid of the things that no longer serve me. I have to be careful of the environments that I'm in. If I'm around somebody that's negative all the time, I'm going to limit those interactions, even if it's somebody that I truly love. The people that we love the most can be the ones that 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 are the most difficult for us to be around sometimes. And we have to be honest with ourselves. How do I feel? What happens to me in the presence of the folks that I spend the majority of my time with? Is it bringing out the best in me? Is it helping me to develop and evolve and become the person that I want to be, or not? And if it's not, then you have to create a process that's going to help you get to where it is that you want to go. Watch your environment, watch your inputs. What am I reading? What am I watching? What am I spending my time doing? Are those things helping me move the way that I intend to move? Or do I find myself triggered and upset and stressed? If you're finding yourself triggered and upset and stressed, pay attention. Your body is screaming for your attention. It's saying something here is not working for me. We need to do something different, right? And because we need to do something differently, we have to make different choices. And in making those different choices, we create the opportunity to have different outcomes. Mastery It's a process. We're not born to it, we work for it. We're not born into it. We have to work for it. And anything that's worth having, we have to work for. There's very few lottery moments in our lives, right? Most of the time, it's blood, sweat, and tears, rolling up our sleeves and doing the work. And this internal process, the things that we need to do to master us, is no different. So Brian, as always, I've got some steps at the end that I want to share with anybody. But before we get into all of that, I would love to hear what you'd like to share with us on this Transformation Tuesday as we begin the process of leading into mastery.
That's cool. Thanks. Grand
Yeah,
Rising.
Grand Rising.
I'm overrun with thoughts. Everything that you're talking about, so much is coming to me. Someone said something earlier. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was Tip about mastering me,
Me. Mm-hmm.
right? And we got to give ourselves some grace. We master, we master ourselves, but we measure ourselves by these unrealistic uh, yardsticks, right? These unrealistic measurements, and it's not even just unrealistic. Ones that don't even matter. Everybody moves at their own pace. That's why what
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany is so important. Everyone moves at their own pace, and you can't be blindsided. You can't allow yourself to be distracted by seeing what someone else does and how they do it, and think, oh, why isn't this progressing for me? That's when you start to lose that power that you have over mastering your mind, because you're focusing on something that's out of your control, right?
Right.
Instead of focusing on you and how you can improve, and what's the necessary steps that you need to take to get you where you need to be. And it may be something that's mundane and minuscule, and something that somebody else would, shove aside and be like, I don't even see why you're doing it. But if it gets you to where you need to be, then that's exactly what you need to be doing. I don't care what it is. So when Tiffany said mastering me, I immediately thought about Bree, and when she first started moving around and learning to walk. She didn't go from, being a kid into this whole phase of let me do this and let me do that. She went straight from not moving around to walking. And she took her time doing it. Right, right. She wasn't in a big rush. She wasn't a crawler. She sat still, and then one day she said, "I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna walk." And that was her mindset. Everybody was so they were so afraid. Oh, she's taking too long. She's never gonna get it. She hadn't even started crawling yet. And I'm knowing that everybody moves differently, right? Everyone moves differently. It could have been another 6 months before she decided to do it. Doesn't matter. If she decides to do it, as long as she decides to do it, she'll take the necessary steps to get to where she can do that thing that needs to be done. Some of this is innate. Some of this is it's inherent to our spirit, to our nature. But a lot of this, like you said, great masters, you're not born a great master. You got to put some practice in. And that practice starts with knowing who you are, focusing, like you said a long time ago, and you continue to say, Source says, focusing on your strengths. When you
Mm-hmm.
focus on your strengths, you'll find that your weaknesses start to either remove themselves, or you start to strengthen those weaknesses because you're focusing on what you can do, not what you can't do. So don't focus on anyone other than yourself. Focus on you. Mastering me is that should be the theme of the day. How do you master yourself? Right? You recognize patterns in your life. You take it one step at a time. You get an accountability partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mastery of me. Thanks, Tiffany. That
Thank
was
you,
awesome.
Brian. I didn't intend to share this, and some of you guys who've been following for a while have seen this before. But when Brian started to talk about what you can control versus what you can't, and leaning into Tiffany's mastery of me, it reminded me of this graphic, and I thought I would share it with you guys again. So you see the circle in the middle, the smaller circle, things I can control. And around that circle are the things that are within our sphere of control. My response to others' behavior, I can absolutely control that. Some of us go through life, well, it's just the way I am. When this happens, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're not, you have decided that you're going to be reactionary. You can make a different decision as well. So we can absolutely control how we respond to the behavior of others. We can control the boundaries that we set with other people. Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. And there are certain people in your life that that's very, very difficult to do, and they know who they are, and they play that card and they push until they get what they want. I did something I deal with on a regular basis, and it's super, super frustrating. But you feel bad when you don't honor your boundaries. You feel taken advantage of when you don't honor your boundaries. So let your yes be yes and let your no be no, and walk in the power of making your own decisions and being able to stand behind them. Because it's really not fun to be on the other side of that. How I let other people affect me, absolute choice. How and when or if I forgive. Forgiveness is ours to give or not. So we're definitely in control. Where I give my energy and attention, we're in control. I can choose to focus on all the emotions that go with a particular circumstance, or I can choose to focus on the solution and how I'm going to move through this season. The choices have repercussions. Either one. Are you going to see your way through it, and or are you going to get stuck in the muck and mire of the situation? So be mindful of where you're what you're focused on in any situation. You can absolutely control how you speak and treat other people. There is no one, regardless of who they are, what they do, that you should feel okay mistreating. I'm the same person with the janitor as I would be with the president, because what, they are both people, flesh and blood, doing the best they can with what they have. They're more alike than they are different, and shame on me if I focus on the difference and that causes me to treat them differently. No, we are absolutely in control of those things. So if we're in control of those things, what are the things that we can't control? I can't control how other people feel. It's a risk every time I hit go live and I start to talk, because I talk a lot in 30 to 60 minutes. And something that I say may very well be offensive to someone else, regardless of my intention. It's happened before, and it hurt me to my heart, because it wasn't somebody that I knew, but she had been following for a long time, and she was so active, and she shared my stuff on her page and with all her people. Every once in a while I remember her, because she was like the ideal virtual, social media connection. She was. I used to say, if I could have 1,000 of her, my name would be. People would know who I am if I had 1,000 of her. One day I was talking about authenticity and making sure that I give credit where credit is due. And so that's why, like, when I do the quotes and things, I make sure to put the person who said its name there. If I share graphics and I know where they come from, it'll be on the graphic. So if it's something I share with you guys, you'll know whether or not it's something I created or something that I'm using from another source. Those things are important to me. Well, I was talking about that one day because I had read a book or an article. It was an article, and that article really affected me. It was so good, and it aligned so well with the things that we were talking about early on when I started going live. And I was saying how I wanted to make sure that you guys understand that I didn't write this. I'm giving you my opinion of it. So I'm not giving it to you song and verse the way it was written, but this is where these thoughts that I'm having right now are coming from. And I want to give credit where credit is due. And when I said that, the person on the other end heard it and thought that I was taking a jab at her. that I was saying that she was somehow taking credit for my work in the fact that she was sharing it to her pages and stuff. And she sent me this long message and how she couldn't follow me anymore because she just couldn't have negativity in her life and she just had to move on. And I responded back that I absolutely didn't mean that. It had nothing to do with her, and I appreciated her sharing stuff. That's how I was going to grow. She never responded again. And there was a part of me who wanted to reach out and try to continue the conversation. And then I realized it was completely out of my control. Whatever she was going through in her life, whatever she had been through in her life, it had taught her to see things in a particular way. And the lens that she was wearing made me, an attacker, whether I really was or not. I couldn't change that. It was painful in that moment because I felt like I have inadvertently done harm to somebody that I really appreciated, and I can't get them to understand that. But I can't, and I had to accept that. It's not it. That's work that she has to do, and I had to wish her well every once in a while when that comes up. That's exactly what I do. Oh, I hope she's better. I hope she's doing well. I hope one day she finds her way back and we pick up where we left off. I Whatever positive thoughts, because obviously she was somebody who was struggling with some stuff and had been hurt by people, and I got added to the list of people who she felt like was coming after her, out of my control, no matter how bad I wanted it to work out. um how others behave, that's a hard one for me, especially if you're attached to me in any way. If I'm out with a group and somebody in the group is being belligerent, that really bothers me, and I take it as a self-reflection. But it's not a reflection on me, it's a reflection on them, and I have to do what I need to do in that situation to get through it, to make sure everybody's okay and to move on. But I can't take it on as mine because it's outside of my sphere of control, right? I can't control how others react. I can't control whether or not they forgive me. As much as I don't feel like I did anything to be forgiven for, in the story I just told, I hope one day that young lady forgives me and realizes that that was her processing, not my intention, that caused that rift. I can't control the future, can't control the past. I can't control how other people's boundaries. I was talking to my son about this yesterday. Some of you guys saw us yesterday morning out on a walk, and he works with children now, in an after school program and now summer program. And I was asking him if they had talked to them about how it's what's appropriate and how they deal with the children. What's okay to say, not to say, what are the boundaries in touch and that kind of stuff, because he's a young man. And he said he was like, it's a real professional environment, but I don't think they've told us that. And I said, well, I learned that because I'm a hugger and because I love physical closeness doesn't mean that I have the right to impose that on somebody else. And even just saying that I'm a hugger can put somebody in an uneasy position and make them feel like they have to allow me to hug them or they may hurt my feelings. I have to understand what somebody else's boundaries are when I come into an environment, and not just assume that everybody's like me and I can just behave how I want to behave and everything's good. Understand others and respect the boundaries of others just like you want them to respect yours. And those are conversations, especially in the world that we live in now, that we need to have with our young people. If someone else is not having it, if they have a job or whatever and people aren't talking to them about how a young man should interact with a young woman. I talked to my son years ago. He'll be 21 in December, but years ago we talked about when a woman can and can't say yes to any advances she may be getting from him. If she's under the influence of anything, her yes is an automatic no, son, because she doesn't have agency over her body. She doesn't have agency over her mind in that moment. And although everything that she's giving you, everything that she's saying to you may feel like a yes, if alcohol or any type of substance is involved, when she wakes up, when it wears off, she may feel completely different. And although you thought you guys were on the same page, it could be a completely different story when the sun comes up the next day. I have those conversations with my kids because I want them to understand boundaries and how to interact with other people and not walk through life like they're the only one on the planet. Look beyond the tip of your nose. There's people everywhere, and how you're moving can affect them. And so it's important to me to have those types of conversations because I don't want them to learn the hard way or end up in a situation that they don't know how to manage, right? So conversation, the art of the conversation is so important, especially when you have the lives of young people in your hands. We can't control the beliefs and perspectives of other people. We can't control their attitudes. I can't control what's happening around me. Do y'all hear that noise? I want to scream out the window to the yard man, "Hey, I'm live. Be quiet." But if I did that, I'd end up with an ugly yard for a week longer. So we just gonna have to power through. I can't really control that noise right now. But I also can decide not to give into it and let it be such a distraction that I can't keep moving forward. We have more control than we give ourselves credit for. I can't control what other people say, and I can't control what other people think of me as much. And that's a hard one for me. I came into this, well, I won't say I came into this world, but much of my life, I wanted to be liked and I wanted to be liked by everybody. And that created that yes person mentality. I was going to do what I could do to make sure that everybody thought I was nice, that everybody liked me, and I would go out of my way. I would do things that didn't even make sense, that ended up being creating difficulty for myself, trying to be a friend, trying to be nice, trying to be whatever to somebody else. And some of the people that I went the hardest for didn't like me then, don't like me now. I can't control that because their perception of me is their perception of me, and it is none of my business, right? I just have to take agency over who I am and how I show up. What they don't have is the right to write my narrative. I hold the pen. I get to decide who I am, how I show up, what type of person I am. I don't give that to anybody, regardless of that yes person that I've spent so many years now subduing so that I could be my authentic self, so that I could make sure that I was doing things that I really wanted to do and showing up as the best version of me. But the yes person is still in there. She loves hard and she wants to be a part of everybody's everything. And I have to keep reminding her that that's just not how this thing called life works. There's going to be some people that love you and eat you up and think you're just the best thing ever. There's going to be some people that your energies don't agree and they just don't like you for no reason at all. And then the majority of people will be in the middle. And none of it's any of my business. What you think of me is none of my business. I just have to do the best that I can and be in good relationship with the man upstairs and the reflection in the mirror. And if I'm doing the right thing and I'm showing up as a good person, the people who are supposed to be in my space and the people who genuinely care for me, they will show up and I will be able to discern who they are. There's a lot of people in my space who show up for a myriad of reasons, not necessarily because they like me though. Not doesn't mean that at all. Just because you're here doesn't necessarily mean that. And I had to teach myself that and not assume that everybody was there here because they're in my corner. And it's okay. Everyone has their own process and their own struggles and to get to the mastery of who they are. And I just want to master me and be the best version of myself and hopefully share something every once in a while that's beneficial to you guys. That's the dream. That's it. So I didn't intend to share this today, but it was so good in line with what Brian was saying that I couldn't help myself. So let me get this graphic out the way and welcome Denise. Denise, we've been talking on this Transformation Tuesday specifically about the theme of mastery, which is what we will talk about all week as we go through our days. I'm going to grab the comments and say hello to some people. And then if you're able, after that, please unmute and share your thoughts. Shani, I see you there. Thank you for joining us. Dawn, it's good to see you again. Let's see what comments I've missed. You guys have been typing away as I've been yakking away. Let's see. Kim says, I always say to my kids when they go out, make good choices, love you. That's my line. Me too. I still say that to my kids, and they're in their 20s and 30s. Make good choices. And they're like, okay, mom, we will. But I believe that speaking and in the positive, I don't say don't do this and don't do that, and because now I'm raising all that negativity in their space. Make good choices. Go out and be the best version of yourself. Represent your last name well. You know, act as if I'm not look act as if I'm looking, even though I'm not there. Be that you, because that you's awesome. Positive. Kim says, good morning to you, Brian. Conchita says, love you, Kim. Shiny Flo says, that's good. Conchita, promoting the book Soar Beyond Limits. There is an entire section on mastering mindset. So beautiful, people. Buy Cassandra's book for more insight on the topic. LOL. Man, if I don't think I could afford to pay you, Conchita, for all the love and support and engagement that I get from you and Kim and so many others. I would be bankrupt if I tried to pay you. That is how valuable you guys are. It is what SOAR is all about, mastering you and finding the best version of you according to you, not my version of or the world's version of who you should be, but you getting in a space with you and declaring that for yourself, and then having a framework to build and become that person. That's how you soar. You're never going to soar if you're trying to be someone else's version of you. You're tethered to them, so you can only go so far. But when you're moving through life as the best version of who you truly are, there's no limit to what you can do and who you can become. Conchita says, love the video with your son. Really address the need for accountability partners. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I keep throwing myself out there because just like everybody else, I have Achilles heels. There's areas of my life that I need to do better in. And I like to talk about those and put myself out there, because then I end up with a whole bunch of accountability partners, a whole bunch of people, a bunch of eyes that I know are paying attention and rooting me on and saying, hey, remember, you said you were going to do this. And so I'm all for the accountability. She also says to Conchita, love you more. I say that to my kids all the time also, LOL. My middle son will be 21 July 10th. Crazy how time flies. We get back from the cruise that has full drink packets this July 7th. Poor Cole. So he's going to miss the ability to have his little drink on the cruise, huh? And Kim says, we love you, Cassandra. That's all that matters. And I appreciate that. Kim also says, good morning to you, Denise. And Conchita says, likewise, your value added to my life is priceless. Betty, good morning, Betty. Man, it's good to see you here. All right, let's see if I've missed anyone. I think I've gotten everyone except, oh no, there's quite a few people. Wilso.n, Lucas the Third, Bull 14 Dozer. Hey, Cynthia and Daniel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you guys were able to join as well. All right, Denise, I think I've handled all the business, so it is over to you.
Good morning. I came in on some real gems that Mr. Brother Brian was dropping over there, and that mastering me. I had a call and a conversation this morning that delayed my, appearance here, and it affected me so deeply that I told you guys last week that one of my go-to songs is CeCe Winans' "Goodness of God."
Mm-hmm.
I listened to, hope if you guys haven't heard it, you have to go to YouTube and search Trust in God. That's one of those ones where a lot of singers, a lot of, gospel singers do it, but the version I really like is Mark Gutierrez. And anyway, no, I think it's Mark Rodriguez, but anyway, um, I had to get in there because I don't even say this anymore. I don't say the old me would have. That's what I was saying months ago. The old me would have thought this, would have thought that. The previous version would have taken the conversation and taken a decision that someone else has made in one of my business relationships really to heart and taken it personally and let it affect my whole day. But instead, I've been under the coaching of a power mindset queen. I'm with Conchita on that. You couldn't pay me enough because I could promote you all day long. It's very personal for me. It's a spiritual growth thing that you really helped me with. And I have to say that what happened after that call and after a decision was made that I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't have to, because my response to others' behavior, is the only thing I can control. And I can
Mhm.
understand and accept that person's perspective. I can understand in this more mature version of myself where they're coming from. And what I'm doing for myself is I'm honoring my boundaries and I'm respecting my own personal journey and not allowing this person's kind of strange view of a situation affect my growth and my respect for them and for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I came into the conversation exactly what I was supposed to. I realized that. I came in right at a time where it just really fed me, and I heard Brian talking, and I was like, "Wow!" And then you pulled up. I had to screenshot that. I hope you could share it. I screenshot it real quick, and then I pinched in while you were talking, and I was following along on that chart that you shared, and
Oh,
I was like, "But God," because what you need when you need it is exactly what He'll give you if you would just open yourself up and receive it in that
that's right.
moment.
Yes.
The previous version of myself would have picked up the phone and possibly called my daughter or my mother and been saying, "Girl, guess what this person just said?" and blah, blah. And I know better now. So I'm doing better. And I'm knowing that I can share the change in direction of that particular project with them from a very positive place because it's just me and God talking about it. We're
Mm-hmm.
the only ones who talked about it this morning. And I asked for understanding and I asked to accept their perspective. And so now what I have is some empathy and I acknowledge that everyone has different stages and paces of growth. And I do feel like I've outgrown that project a little bit. And as such, it's almost like that person sees me as trying to lead the project,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not what is happening. So I was listening to you and you were saying how you had this person who was such a positive, person in your life and in your environment and on your projects, and for them to receive anything that you've done or said in any way that hurts them hurts you,
Right.
but it is not with that intention. And you can just understand and accept their position,
Mm-hmm.
and their growth may come at a time where you won't see it.
Right.
Their life may have been affected by your presence in such a positive way that you don't get to enjoy that. You just keep moving the way you're supposed to move. You communicate clearly and assertively, and um, set your boundaries as you need to. And when it's time to move, you move. And I heard that a long time ago, that what you think about me is not my business.
That business.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to hear it. I don't need to hear it necessarily. Even if you want to share it, it still, I have to sometimes let that bounce. Somebody's opinion of you needs to bounce back off your spirit. Like, I do not receive that. That's practicing self-care. That's important too. And there was one more thing you said. I still say that to my kids too. It's so funny. I'll drop my daughter off sometimes when I'm at home, and as she's walking away, I'll roll down the window and say, "Make good
Make good
choices."
choices. Whole college
she
graduate still
she
doing it.
knows I'm messing with her. She's 24 years old now. She knows I'm messing with her, and she'll look back and laugh and say, "Yes, mommy." Like it's our little thing, because we've been doing that for so long that it's fun, to still
Mm-hmm.
say that. But I did want to share something that I just think is really relevant here. As one of my professional relationships is changing, suddenly I find out this morning it's going to change when our contract is over, which is fine and good, and there's room for more growth there. There are some things that were said that are actually not true statements. And in my spirit, as I was listening, something just told me to stand down.
Mhm.
that I don't need to bounce back words to say, well, wait a minute, maybe you misunderstood. Oh, well, okay, hold on now. That wasn't what, it's like you're defending. Something told me in that moment just to stand down, and I did. And I'm glad I did because I got a text afterwards that said, thank you for listening. So my not countering made the person feel heard. That was important. One of the things that's happened over the years with my children as they've gone in, and fortunately my son found a wonderful wife and he's married now. I hope the same will happen for my daughter, whether she chooses to marry or not. She's been through a couple of significant relationships, and when the relationships have ended, what we call a breakup, right? I remember always telling my kids I have a relationship with them where I'm really fortunate that they'll call me at those big times. My son has had his heart broken. He was like, Mom, I just needed to talk to you about this. And I'm blessed by that we have the kind of relationship where he's called and cried on my shoulder, and I'm grateful for it. I remember always telling them this: you do not have to break people on your way out the door. You
Mm.
do not have to hurt because you're hurting on your way out the door. When you realize in your spirit that relationship is changing, acknowledge it, and do the best you can to take good care of yourself. But even more importantly, you have to show that care for the other person because it dictates who you are, not who they are. Do not kick people in the throat on your way out the door, even when you're right, even if you've been victimized, because it speaks to who you are and your
Exactly.
relationship with your creator. And
Exactly.
my daughter has shared with me that right there has changed a lot of things on how she moves, especially when she knows and feels that she's kind of in the right and maybe the other person is in the wrong. It's really important at that time to stand down and be the bigger person. Don't kick people in the throat on the way out the door. Um, Thank you guys so much for listening. What's today? Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Transformation Tuesday. I lost track of days. Happy Transformation Tuesday. Y'all all be very, very blessed and productive today.
Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you don't have to kick someone in the throat on your way out the door. You don't have to hurt because you're hurting. And those are the types of things we need to remind ourselves of. Those are the conversations we have with our children and those that we have some sort of influence over. Because if no one ever tells you how to move through hurt, if no one ever tells you how to survive heartbreak, then you're at the mercy of your emotions and you don't know how to move through it. But having somebody just give you that little nugget, I know it hurts right now, but you are so much bigger and you are so much better than this. You're going to get through this pain. You're going to have your integrity intact, and you're going to be okay on the other side. It may take a while, and I'm right there with you, but you're going to still be the best version of you. Even as you go through this, you're going to show them how it's done. We don't match energy, we set energy. The SOAR Collective, we talk about this a lot. We're not energy matchers. That's the world's way. We hear people say that all the time. I'm just matching your energy. I am not interested. Unless your energy is way up there and I'm trying to climb to meet you there, I have no intention of lowering who I am to meet anybody's energy. And when I find myself in a situation where I can't control that, and I'm so triggered, it's time for me to remove myself from that situation, to not be in that environment. It still comes down to me. We focus too much on the other people. We focus too much on the external. The only person that's really responsible for you and who you are and how you are is you. And so you have to make those tough decisions sometimes. There are people that I absolutely love that I spend zero time with because the best version of me cannot survive in that environment. So I don't put myself in it. I learned how to love from a distance. I loved how to pray for people who I know won't harm for me. And I feel better about myself because of it. And we all have that level of control. We really do. There is nothing special about me when it comes to this stuff. And I do not get it right all the time. Do I get it right half the time? Probably. 75% of the time? I don't know. But I know I don't get it right all the time. but I can see in me where the change needs to happen. I can see in me what I need to do differently because I'm looking at what's within my control and what's out of my control. If I wait for my life to be good, for mama to say the right thing, for the husband to treat me the way I want to see me, the way I want to be seen, for the kids to do all the perfect things, for the job to promote, if I'm waiting on some external factor for me to feel good about who I am, I may never get there. And if I do get there, it's temporary because it's at the mercy of that thing or that person's opinion. That has to come from within. That has to come from the reflection in the mirror. You have to know that you know that you know that you are good enough, that you are deserving just as you are. And then when someone says something great about you, they're confirming and you can appreciate it. When someone says something negative about you, you can assess it and say, hey, is there any truth in this? Is there anything I need to look at to make an adjustment so that I do better? You take the gift out of it and you throw away the rest. It has absolutely no more power than what you give it. No one else has the right to write the story of your life. If you give over that pen, if you've given it to anybody, I challenge you to take it back. You're responsible for you, including your narrative and how you show up in the world. Don't let anybody else be the author of your life. I had to take my pen back. Too many people were writing chapters and they didn't sound like me, they didn't feel like me, and I'm just trying to fit the chapter that other people are writing. That's not my story. Please return my pen. And if you feel like you can't return it, please exit from this environment because you're no longer welcome here. But I don't have to fight you on the way out. I don't have to kick you in the throat. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And if you're that kind of person that's the only way you can receive information, we don't need to be around each other. Whoever you are, whatever role you have in my life, it's being diminished by your behavior and my boundaries that won't allow that behavior into my space. We have that kind of power. We just have to exercise it. I see my nephew Jimmy Vincent is in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See Cynthia, good to see you. Shauna Jones, hey, 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 that's my beautiful cousin. Good to see you. Let's see. Kim says that's good stuff. I keep saying that in my head. Your opinion of me does not matter. I'm putting that on my vision board, Cassandra. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cynthia Noakes, the Bling Queen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so good to see you as well. Lisa, another part of the SOAR Collective, says good morning and happy Tuesday, everyone. Conchita says, excellent gems today, Denise. Every action does not require a reaction. Thanks for sharing. Lisa also says, love the message that Denise gave this morning. And she says, I received that, Cassandra, not here to match your energy, but to set my own. Amen. I am a energy setter. I'm not going to drop to someone else's energy. I see K Nicole Blossom has joined. My beautiful cousin Eloise says, yes, good morning, cousin. And Asgar, I see you there as well. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for joining. We are getting close to wrapping up. I hope I've acknowledged everyone. If I have not, do not charge it to my heart, charge it to these old lady eyes. I just don't see you there. But I want to share with you guys some actionable steps when it comes to mastery. How do you go about doing that? Brian, you were on a roll. You were actually kicking out steps when you started earlier as well. So some of that may be a repeat of what I'm about to say. I'm not sure. And Kelly, I see this name all the time. And I wondered for the longest what you were saying whenever this comment would go through. And then I realized after the fact that you were tagging somebody in the event. And I see that they're here. I know I'm going to mess up this name, but I'll give it a shot. It looks like Talonda Loft. Oh, it looks like Talonda laughing like so McMullen. Talonda laughing like so McMullen. So I know that you're connected to Kelly because I see Kelly tag your name all the time. So Forgive me for messing up your name, but welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you are with us. And we're going to jump into the actionable steps. How do we go about mastery? First, you have to define your mastery area. One of the things I wish I had that graphic handily available, but I don't, is the wheel of life. There's different aspects of our lives. And if you think about your life like a wheel, like a pizza pie, and you start to put the areas of your life that's important to you, my personal relationship, my spiritual relationship, my self care, my physical fitness, my career, my entrepreneurial pursuits, whatever the case may be, you put those things on your wheel and you assess your level of happiness with each of those areas. And in an area where you're not as happy, that may be an area where you want to build some mastery. What can I do to firm my life up in this particular space? But you have to choose a space. What is it that I want to focus on? Do I want to be more of affirming of myself? Do I want to build better relationships with family and friends? Do I want to get more physically fit and take care of myself that way? You have to define it, because what we focus on, we bring about. Where our focus goes, our energy flows. So you have to define it. What am I wanting to master? Once you've defined it, you have to create a plan. What are the things that I'm going to do to move me from where I am to where it is that I would like to be? Where you'd like to be is the ultimate goal. That's the big ticket item. But there's steps that you need to take along the way to actually get there. And a lot of times we become overwhelmed, we become frustrated, we give up because we're just focused on the end goal and we don't create those actionable steps, small, consistent steps that we can take over time that are moving us closer and closer and closer to meeting this goal. So the creating of the plan is very, very important. And it's not just, I'm going to do this thing, but it's the how. Here's all the steps I'm going to take along the way. And then once you've built your plan, you have to commit deliberate time to implement that plan. Commit deliberate practice time. When am I going to work on it? What am I going to do? When do I start? What's my goal to finish? When do I intend to have moved from point A to point B? Set some guidelines for yourself so you know what you're working towards. We always have flexibility because life will life, and if things happen and we have to make adjustments, that's okay. But you have something to make adjustments to because you have committed to some actions for this plan, right? It's important that along the way that you develop a growth mindset. Why? Because life is going to life. Things are going to happen not as you planned. Surprises will come up, things will go wrong, and if you don't have that growth mindset, it can stop you in your tracks. What's a growth mindset? A growth mindset sees the opportunity in everything, right? I did not intend to have this roadblock jump up. But since it's here, what is it here to teach me? What can I learn from it? What strengths can I gain? What positives can I see in myself? There's a gift in every situation. Denise's example was a beautiful display of that, right? The conversation that she was having wasn't unfolding the way that she would have liked. But instead of becoming an agitator in that situation, she listened. And there may be other gifts that she saw, but the gift that I heard was meeting herself and confirming the growth that she's taken over this journey that we've been on, so that she's responding. She's not reacting. She's not defensive. She's not cutting relationships off because things are not as she wants them to be. She's able to sit back, even if the facts are not the facts. She was still able to hear that individual out, and that gave them enough peace and appreciation that they text her a thanks afterwards. A relationship can grow after that. It may not be what it used to be. It can be something different because of how that exchange went down. It didn't have to be, I'm kicking you in the throat on the way out. And so that was a beautiful example of having a growth mindset, seeing the opportunity, seeing the gifting in that situation. And then you need to set those SMART goals. SMART goals, I think you guys are familiar with. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. When I say relevant, I mean they are important to you. They're not somebody else's idea of what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. They belong to you. And that in and of itself keeps you motivated and keeps you moving forward. Specific, it can't be too big. You can't have this pie in the sky dream, but you have to have all the steps along the way that's going to get you there. And it should be really, really specific. Is it a red car? Is it a truck? Is it automatic? Is it an electric car? Be very, very specific about what you want, and then for sure without a shadow of a doubt when you've received it. Measurable. That's how if you can measure something, whether or not you're progressing towards it. So setting measurable goals for yourself is important. And time bound is along those same lines, giving yourself a deadline so that you're really working towards that thing. And then lastly, you want to seek feedback and reflect. It's always good to have those accountability partners, to be a part of a network, to have people in your corner that you trust to give you good feedback, because those people can sometimes see what you can't, right? Sometimes we all have those shadow areas in our lives where we just can't see how we show up. As much work as we do, we all still have those shadow spots. And a good friend, a good accountability partner can point some things out to you. When you seek feedback from them, it's not always going to be, oh, you were just the best thing ever. You killed that. Sometimes they're going to say, hey, sis, this is how Denise approaches me. Are you open to some feedback? I have a couple of things I want to share that I think may be good for you. And even her voice is softer like that. When I get that from Denise, I know she's about to drop something that is saying, you might not have quite hit it as on target as you thought you should. But have you considered this? Maybe you should try that. Would you be willing to look at this? It's not, girl, you need to dot, 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 dot. It's not coming in a way that you can't receive it. So the first thing you do is defend yourself. It's just soft enough, but that with enough, I know who it's coming from. So I know I'm about to get some good, clean feedback that is designed to make me better. That's relationship. That's trust. If you believe what you're getting is coming from a place of, I want to see you win, I want to make you better, I think this will be helpful to you. If it's crouched in that type of a space, it's easier to receive, even if it's telling you that you didn't do as well as you thought you did. Or maybe there's a way where you could tweak things and make it a little bit better. But if your feedback is nothing but rosy, you may just have a yes person around you who's afraid to tell you the truth. They want to please you so bad. They want to be in your circle so bad that they're only going to tell you what's good. So that is not an accountability partner. That is a cheerleader. I have no issue with cheerleaders. I was a cheerleader for 8 years of my life. We are awesome. We are full of energy. We are rah rah. We get the party started. We make everybody feel good. There's a role for that. But you have to realize who people are. And the cheerleaders in your life, they have a role. They want to keep you inspired. They're going to keep you motivated. They're going to keep you moving forward. Your accountability partners, while they will do that, they're also going to give it to you real and help you to make the adjustments that you need to make to move forward. And you have to reflect. What do you see? What do you think you could do differently? Where do you feel like things went really, really well and you want to continue to build on that? Where do you think you need to reflect? Maybe you need to bring somebody with some different skills in a place where you see that you have a gap. You can't be all things. There's some things I can do. There's some things that I can't do. I know that if I have an idea, I'm going to tell Brian what the idea is, and he's going to make a beautiful, a much beautiful representation of that idea than what I ever could. My stuff always looks like junior high, and his stuff looks like PhD. I'm not mad about that. He's making me better. Have you seen the cover of my book? I would hold up the cover of my book to any author anywhere across time. I think it's that beautiful. I didn't do that. I would never have gotten it to that. I don't have that eye. But he took the idea of what the book was about and what I was trying to say and how I was trying to say it and what was important to me and the theme. And bam, he made magic. That's not my lane. So I need people around me who can keep building up and building on what I'm doing. And so there's not competition, there's collaboration because we all win together. Networking, collaboration, being a part of a community, those things are powerful. And when you're in the right space, you will continue to get better. So those are our steps. I see one more comment has come in. Conchita, another promotional moment. Buy Cassandra's book. Smart goals are addressed in detail and soar beyond limits. Yes, and it has a companion workbook that has spaces for all the activities that are a part of the book for you to actually do the work, for you to create your action plans so that when you get to the end, you've got it all documented and all you have to do is get to work. Follow the steps that you've laid out for yourself as you've worked through the book. So thank you, Conchita. That's one of the things Brian um, cautions me about on a regular basis is I don't talk about the book enough. I don't remind people that it's out there and it's available and what that is all about. So thank you for taking that role today, Conchita. We're about to wrap up, and I do want to, though, invite you all to our vision board party. It is this Saturday at 2 p.m. Central. It's a virtual vision board event. Don't wait to the last minute to register. We're getting close to that because I want you to have time to read the supply list and make sure you have everything ready. You can do a virtual vision board using something like Canva or PowerPoint or whatever, but I do encourage you to actually get a board and cut out the pictures and the words and the things that resonate with you and actually build that board and hang it somewhere where you can see it. I have my board right here on my wall, but I also took a picture of it and I have it as the screensaver on my phone. So I see my board all the time. If I'm in my office, it's right here. If I pick up my phone, it's the first thing I see. So I keep it with me as a visual reminder of the things that I am working on. And so with that, I want to invite you guys to do the same. Like I said, it's on the 22nd at 2 p.m. Central. Virtual, we'll do it over Zoom. And we're going to have a goal setting workshop first. Um, so that you can get the clarity. We'll talk more about that wheel of life, your satisfaction levels in different spaces of your life, so you know where you want to set those goals. We'll talk about good goals. We'll dig into smart goals, how to get your goals properly set. And then once you're clear on that, then you'll be free to move into the creative part and actually create your vision board and have that with you until you have successfully completed everything. One of my cousins who did her board, I want to say it was back in November. She did one with me. She's done a total of three, and she said or two, and she's completed everything. So she's ready to do another board because they work so well for her. Keeping those goals in the forefront of her mind helps her to stay on track, and that's the idea. That is the idea. So we hope you guys would join us. The URL is scrolling at the bottom: www.findyourvision.today. Findyourvision.today. There's still time for you guys to join us. If you're part of the SOAR Collective, the Vision Board Party is a part of your membership. So all those ladies will be there. Brian's going to be there. Denise is going to be there. Hopefully something doesn't crop up on her schedule and she's enjoying the Grenada sun instead of being with us, but the plan is for her to be there. So you guys join us, get the clarity you need on your goals, and then build that vision board to keep them in front of you. We will be back here tomorrow for Wake Up Wednesday at 7:15 a.m. Central, where we will talk about intentionality and the power of intentionality and how using that in your life helps you to accelerate towards your goals and goal mastery. So with that, we are going to call it a day. I am so grateful for all of you, and I will see you back